Hello and welcome to episode 37 of the TRUUMAN Podcast, the podcast designed to create a generation of self-defined men. Today, I'm joined by John Bell. John, it's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Lewis. It's an absolute pleasure to be a part of this and hopefully contribute towards helping other people that struggle with their mental health.
Thank you so much. And as always, I will start with the question. John, in your own words, what makes you a man?
What makes me a man? Wow, I don't know. I've never been asked that before. Never been asked that before. If I'm totally honest with you, Lewis, most of my life before I lost my son Jake, it was only his 15-year-old son Jake, I think I looked at it all totally wrong, which, all the male ego and the bravado and the acting up the alpha male status and doing jobs which were supposed very manly, so to speak, prison service forces. I think I was on suit with everything else that most men are, and it is to that the alpha male sort of status, trying to be a strong role model, a strong figure in society for our own children. But my mindset's totally changed from that now. On board with the physical status doesn't matter too much for me anymore, or the ego. I'm more on concentrating on being the best version of me as possible by developing mental resilience. So the I'm different to probably a lot of people now since losing my son. It's changed me in a massive way, Lewis. So to be a decent human being in general is what I'm more concerned about.
Thanks for answering, and well, thanks for answering it for the first time ever. I'm glad that it's the first time that you've been asked it. But for me, the one of the reasons that I started this was that question needs to be asked. I feel that
Mm,
if you actually sit and think about that question and actually answer it, and you touched on
mm,
a few points there, that it changes over time, and it should be. I think it should just be asked regularly. I think it's a really really important question that is missing from a
yeah.
lot of men's lives, and it's yeah, I love that question. So yeah, John, why don't you tell us a little bit about what brings you to the podcast today? Why are you sort of in this space today?
Uh, I guess I want to try and be an advocate for supporting others and helping people to be able to see their own worth. Being in a very dark place myself after losing my son and being suicidal for the best part of a year, literally every single day contemplating to join my boy. It put me I was in a very bad place, and I've had to learn to live again and try and find a way to live joyfully without my son physically here. So I want to be an advocate for mental health, not just for men, but I think with men, I think we do struggle in massively in different ways to women and children because of how society is. And like you just said, what makes you be a man? I think there's a lot to be said about that, to be fair. So, but I want to try and help others. I want to try and help others. That helps me naturally. I found a way to live joyfully after a massive bereavement of my 15-year-old boy, and I feel it. I carry forward every single day and find different ways, different coping mechanisms, and create hope for myself every single day. So I want to pass that hope forward, Lewis, and I do it already through a charity we've set up called Walking for Hope. Where we do local walks, and I'm a training mountain leader, take people out into the peaks and the mountains as well, and a support group we've set up ourselves as well for men and women. But, so for me, I want to learn more about myself and my own emotions, and I want to survive. It's my natural survival instinct kicked in, and I actually want to live now and live with my son in my heart and make that a very nice place. If he's living on in my heart, it's going to be a very nice place, and I'm going to pass that forward. I think what I've learned through such a massive loss is too precious and too valuable for others as well to not know we can be more than what we suffer.
Yeah, it's great that you want to give back from that. And if you don't mind, can we go back to when you lost your son and sort of talk about you and how that
Of
sort of hit
course,
you and
yeah. Mm.
what happened there?
Well, it was back in July 2020. So now there's a lot I can talk about how I lost my son and things, but if I'm honest, I mentioned to you not so long ago that I have to think of other people. We all bereave differently, and other family members and my other children, and we all deal with these things differently. But the loss of my boy, I mean, he was my firstborn son, and he's sort of you want it's like legacy, isn't it, for most men? I think you want to pass that legacy on, don't you? And it absolutely broke me. I might get a bit teary-eyed talking to you, Lewis. That's perfectly fine for me. I've learned that getting my emotions out and crying sometimes it's actually good. It's good for me. It does help with the grief process as well, because I relive this every single day, as well. So it put me in a very bad place, and being remarried and having two separate families, and Jake was with my previous wife. Balancing that and finding a way to live again when you don't want to is very difficult. And I sort of shut off from the majority of my family, my own children, and I just didn't. I needed to survive. I wanted to die. I wanted to die after losing him. It just broke everything about me as a person, as a man, as a father, everything as an husband. I just shattered into pieces. And we was due to do Ben Nevis with some colleagues at work, which was to raise money for mine, and a friend was carrying a big rock, and my boy was going to join us, and unfortunately it was just coming up to his funeral. We lost him prior to this, very close to that journey up Nevis, so I decided I had to go still. I felt I had to go, and I took a little teddy bear with me that you get from the hospital when you lose children as well, which was Jake had one as well, and something changed in me that day, and told me I needed to be outdoors, I needed to be doing something, I needed to be pushing myself, and building some sort of strength and developing coping mechanisms, and I took a lot from doing this that day. My fitness weren't the best. I've not been as fit for a long time, and I ended up taking to the mountains when I sort of I shut off from the world. I didn't want to survive. I didn't want to deal with other people. I didn't want to live. I didn't know what a new normal could look like. Do you know what I mean? I didn't know what a new normal could look like, and I had to find a new normal. And that came from being solitary, taking on physical challenges in the mountains. Basically, if I'm being honest, planning my own death for the best part of a year. I know that's difficult to hear for some people, especially some family members and things. And I set an end game. I'd set an end game to go. I was finding a way that it didn't create the suffering, the ripple effect afterwards, and it's impossible. And I planned to go up Everest, and I didn't really speak about this much until after that first year, when I learned to sort of want to live again. And I was going to go up Everest and take my son's ashes with me and throw myself in the ice point into a little crevice where nobody could get to me, so it'd be unsafe for him to get there. And I was going to just freeze there, become one of the markers with my son. And to me, I felt peace. I'm going to be reunited with him. And it'd be John died doing what he loved doing. It wouldn't be to the big taboo S word, this suicide. Do you know what I mean? And then something did change. I had to live. My family needed me. It'd still create that suffering. It's impossible not to create that suffering. My kids needed me, so I had to find a way to live. And I started following. I wanted peace. I wanted peace. The suffering and hurt from this level of trauma is just absolutely ridiculous. And I started looking into Buddhism. Buddhism's fantastic. I've never been religious in my life. I mean, Buddhism's not even classed as a religion, it's a way of life. And I started learning more about myself and my own emotions, as to take more control. And I just wanted to be a better person. So don't get me wrong, I didn't think I was a bad person before this. And there's nothing I wouldn't do to have my son back here right now. But I'm a logical person. That's impossible. That's not going to happen. So I need to find a way now to live with him spiritually, so to speak. And there's one thing. This is why I can do these ridiculous extreme hiking challenges. Carry a bath dressed as my son's favourite character, which is part of a big campaign, and dressed as Deadpool. And I can push myself that much with these, that the physical side of it is enjoyable. The physical pain is just, it's not a suffering like what you get from emotional. And you repair, you're training, you're conditioning your body. Do you know what I mean? So I've learned a way to build resilience by challenging my mindset and taking on. That's one of my biggest coping mechanisms, challenging myself in the outdoors. Now, it's extreme for me. I don't do you know what I mean? I don't expect this will work for everybody, but developing that strong mindset every day I wake up, I don't want to do the skiing without my son. So I find him every day in my heart. I find him and create more options for myself. So I don't feel vulnerable anymore, and that's fantastic. It's a beautiful feeling that my son, lives on in my heart now, and this is going to be helping other people with what we do, and going on to set the charity up as well, Walking for Hope, to be able to reach out to more people. Uh, I mean, I can tell you more and more. I feel like I'm droning on. If I'm
No, no,
honest,
no.
Lewis, I can talk about this feeling that I've learned
Yeah, no.
from my son. Like I say, I give all of this up to have him back in, but I wouldn't want to be that person I was without knowing this level of love. The love I've got for my boy, it's just right there. Do you know what I mean? It lives with me. Nobody, it's so precious. Nobody can take that away from it, and that's empowering, and that needs to be used for something good, I think.
Thank you for sharing. It's always tough to revisit hard things, and I couldn't even imagine. I haven't even got any children myself, so I wouldn't even know where to start with
Yeah.
the side of that, and where you must have been feeling. But there was a lot of stuff that you really touched on that I would love to dive into some more. And I think the first one for me that I picked up was you used the word resilience, and after however long, it's obviously still there, and it's obviously still something that you don't want to forget, and you don't want to move on from. You want to sort of harness it and use it. So why don't you explain a little bit more on the resilience side of things, and how someone who might not be in as such a dire situation but want to start to build resilience for themselves?
I think getting out in general. I think we're conditioned into a lifestyle where we're very comfortable. We're very comfortable, and things are everything around us is actually more simple and easy than we actually realize. And that's where we have that much time in our own thoughts to dwell on things and honest negative thought processes. And we don't we have this thing inside of us that we want to be right. We're all right from our own perspectives, aren't we? And I'd rather have peace of mind than be right. So I think getting out and meeting with similar like-minded people, getting out and about. I know it's difficult for some people. Some people are quite recluse and things, especially if you're feeling very negative. But just getting out in general. I think solitary. I love being out in groups, but I love. I've learned to develop self-worth. I never had it at this level before, and you can learn so much about yourself. Don't dismiss yourself. Get out there in a bit of fresh air, even if it's just taking a little walk on your own around a local park or something, and gathering your own thoughts. Get away from the technology and the 9 to 5 office lifestyle we're conditioned to think is normal. That pays the bills. We clearly need to pay the bills, but how good is that going to be if you're not here next week? Because your mental health is suffering. Do you know what I mean? Find some way to enjoy what you're doing and appreciate yourself. Do you know what I mean? I think a big thing. This is a subject I can go on for.
Yeah,
It's
please.
different for everybody. I think one of the big things is I like to listen to a guy called David Goggins as well. Another person I've come across. Probably a bit too militaristic for some people, but I think it's important to own yourself. Do you know what I mean? We we go inside yourself and challenge yourself and find what you like doing for you, and do that and learn more about yourself in general. Don't worry about what other people are thinking about you all the time, because they're too wrapped up in their own problems. And we all are. We all are. We tend to dwell on all our problems too much. And when you're dwelling on these problems, it's like, just get out there, practice mindfulness. Do you know what I mean? It's a subject you wouldn't have enough time in this podcast for me to go over how this can help. Come and join us. Do you know what I mean? Come and join us on some walks, guys, as well, with Walking for Hope. We're local around the Mansfield, Nottinghamshire area. You'll probably see soon will be all over media. I've got a meeting with Ryan Reynolds himself, who plays my son's favourite character, this week. I'm not going to go too much into that because he's going to be doing something similar and putting something through social media for us. You know what I mean? So, yeah, get involved, guys. There's a huge campaign going on this year. Please reach out to me. I'm not going to tell anybody that I can fix you at all. I'm not a professional, but I can give you the right tools and come and just to spend a day out walking with me. I can give you advice from my personal situation and help you find that self-worth. We've all got something special inside of us, and if we dwell on all the bad all the time, it's all we're going to bring outside of each other, isn't it? When you concentrate on yourself and making yourself a better person, you won't then we'll look for flaws in other people that they're inside us. We've got to accept these flaws are inside every single one of us. And Carl Jung did a piece on it some years ago before he passed, and talking about the darkness, which is relative to the ego as well inside of us all. So, and it's called rejecting and projecting. And I don't know if you've touched on any of this. So we'll reject these sort of thoughts we don't like about ourselves and things we don't like about ourselves. We'll reject and we won't own it. We won't challenge that inside ourselves, and then we'll naturally we project it on others. So when we start picking faults with each other, it's something that we can be like that. Do you know what I mean? And so you're rejecting it and then projecting it. So have a look inside yourself, learn to love yourself, find the good that's there, and bring that out of each other. I think in society, everything we all do is a contributing factor. Isn't it? Everything we all do is a contributing factor. And I don't want to swear or anything. I'm practicing working with families and young people not to, and I'm ex-squatted, so I'm sort of constantly working on myself in different ways. You know what I mean? But I think there's a simple thing is don't be an idiot. Don't be to each other, to yourself. Do not be an idiot to yourself. Think more about yourself. It's once you start looking inside yourself, then and see your true worth. There's nothing better. So I do this every single day. I hurt every single day. You're going to suffer. Things are going to happen in life, but they don't have to define you in a negative way. They don't have to, and I want to be living proof of that. I could quite happily leave this planet tomorrow myself. Okay, I know that the thing that'll happen from that, I'd be fine. I'd be fine with that. Everybody else that loves me, my friends, my family, my wife, my mum, everybody. Do you know what I mean? They're the ones that will be suffering after the loss, and this is what happens when we lose people to suicide. And that suffering's always going to be there. But because I've made my peace with that, I'm fine. I'm fine with that. I've got this love. It's just unbelievable that wants me to live on and try and harness this for more people. Do you know what I mean? But we can do it. We can do it, guys. We can. Every single one of us. We're worth more than that. We're always going to have disturbing thought processes that are going to want us to make decisions and potentially make an impulsive decision, and just take yourself out of that situation for a little bit, because it usually is. You've got all the sayings, haven't you? I do love the sayings. If I'm honest with you, Lewis, you've got it's okay not to be okay, and you've got to be kind as well. These are massive sayings, aren't they? And I totally agree with them. But I think it comes a point as well. That kindness, you've got to be kind to yourself. You've got to be kind to yourself. The rest will fall into place. And then it's okay to not be okay. Of course it is. But then what are we going to do about it afterwards as well? We don't want to sit in that. It's okay to have an off day, but we don't want to be having off days every single day. Yeah. It's taking that first step, and that is the most difficult thing. Taking that first step to admit that you need to do something for yourself. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I do that every single day. Do it every single day.
It's really nice. I think there's a number of things on there. I think one thing that you sort of touched on is finding that sort of purpose or something to do outside of work. Don't sort of make the 9 to 5 the regular, and try and sort of expand your own horizons and find something that brings you joy and those sort of things. And me personally, I'm a huge advocate of having bad days. I think bad days are really important, because how can you have good days if you don't have bad days? but it's
Oh
exactly,
yeah.
you've got to keep moving, got to keep moving, got to look at what you can do next. And I think it ties in quite nicely to what you sort of touched on right at the beginning of that story, which is that you're not vulnerable. You don't feel vulnerability anymore. You don't feel vulnerable, and that's the first step, is
Yeah.
making yourself feel vulnerable. So if you can remember, and if you can go back to then, once you made that decision of not climbing Everest and not sort of staying up there, what was the next step? What was your first step into vulnerability?
First step into vulnerability.
Yeah, so like you sort of to get to where you are now. Correct me if I'm
Mm.
wrong. I feel that there had to be a stage where you went, I need help, or I need to do something about this, and that for a lot of men and for
Yeah.
assume yourself was vulnerable. What did that look like?
Uh, hmm, I think I think I was that vulnerable to a point where I did make an attempt, and I'm not going to go too much into detail for that. For obviously
Yeah,
loved ones and things as well. For me, it's like I say, it's fine, but I've got young children as well. Uh, so I think making that attempt, I was at my most vulnerable then, and I'm I think because I've made my peace with a lot of things, I don't feel vulnerable anymore. It's I'm not suicidal at all. I can sit here and quite happily say that. But it's not to say I don't think about it every single day. Do you know what I mean? It's not to say I don't think about it, but I know how to sort of control those thoughts and those emotions better. And I think to me it's key. I think I've got something a lot of people don't have, and I think the people that do have what I've got, which is the level of trauma and suffering from losing one of the most precious people in my life, I know how to harness that. I mean, I can quite happily sit and dwell on the fact for the rest of my life, my son's no longer here, and believe me, I do. I do that every single day. When you said it's important to have bad days, and I do still have bad days. Those every single day I wake starts off bad because I don't want to. I don't know one day, which will be nearly 4 years next week since I lost my son. I don't know one single day still. I'm aware of every single day, and I don't know one day that I've not wanted to wake up in the morning. But I choose to and make that choice to, regardless, because my son hasn't died to me. I think there's more to this, to life, the purpose of life than all of us realise. And the purpose of life, mainly, I think, is to live. And I think to try and help other people to be able to do that and not throw boulders in front of each other. Do you know what I mean? To trip over all the time. And that's a big one with men's mental health because banter. And I'm massive on banter. I can sit here and joke about anything. But how far does banter go with things as well? It's you've got to look at these things, haven't you? And I just don't. That was a turning point. I think the attempt was the turning point for me, and choosing to wake up and live. Now, the suffering, the bad days, I think are important, like you just said. Of course, I do. Because I do have those every single day, and that's what reminds me. Mine comes from a place of love. You can't have one without the other. So the suffering is. I'm suffering more because of how much I love my son. I don't like to use the past term "loved my son" because to me, as long as I'm alive, this is always going to be a thing I have to deal with. I have to deal with this every single day, and I confront it every single day. So I make that avid choice daily, and I practice being compassionate to myself, and naturally that spreads to other people. Do you know what I mean? And I might sound contradictory because I'm ex-military sometimes, because I can be quite robust as well. If I see someone's not ready and they become like I've got a close friend and they're not quite ready to take that step, but they have joined us. I'm like, I will be quite sort of upfront if I'm honest with you, but I explain myself afterwards. And I'll say, and it's like, you know what? We've got grown men that come out walking with us. We've got a core team of blokes that have been supporting me. And we'll talk about emotions. Going back, like, you don't see this in the past, that over the last decade or two. We're getting better at it.
Yeah.
We're getting better at it. And I think that's one of the big problems with men. We don't talk about enough, and we need to know that's okay. It's not less manly to talk about those things. I think those things are massively important. I really do. And I will explain to them. And listen, I'm only being quite. It's the old tough love thing, isn't it? I'm only being so upfront because I care about you. I want you to be okay. Do you know what I mean? And know that your own self worth and develop that. And I think to explain yourselves afterwards with things. I mean, I learn more about these things every single day. Like I said, I just want to be the best version of me. I'm aware I pick up on body language and everything. I'm aware if I can see somebody's not feeling it. It's ever so weird. It's like an extra sense sort of game, really. I can feel empathy on that level, but I try not to be too abrupt and stay. I've got my old self and my new self. Do you know what I mean? I've got like two versions of myself, and the old version of myself works sometimes still to help people, but I'm wary of that, and then the new version of myself kicks in. It's ever so weird. So most of my life stages now, I've got two sides to me.
Yeah.
It's before I lost Jake and after I've lost Jake. Do you know what I mean? So, but yeah, the vulnerable side, it's there. It's there for all of us, and I'm still vulnerable. I'm still vulnerable, but I'm not going to dwell on that fact.
Yeah.
I work on the principle we like David Goggins does myself, and I'm toughening that mindset constantly every day. He talks about a 40% rule, don't he? If you've ever listened to his stuff, and I understood it when someone introduced me. I understood that mindset. I understood it because I've been broken to a point. I mean, what I do is because I don't want, when you said earlier, I don't want you to be in that position. This is I won't want you to ever think what this feels like. That's the whole point of why I do what I do. But the thing is, it's such an unfortunate thing. Sometimes it takes such a level of suffering for somebody to see
Yeah.
something on this scale and things, don't it? And I wouldn't wish that on anybody. But I personally think that every single person on this planet is vulnerable to a situational change for them to either be in the same position as me to lose somebody or them be the ones that take their own lives. I don't think anybody's protected from it. And until we start looking at one of the biggest things, if you look at all charities at the moment, they're big on preventative measures. That's massive. Preventative measures, and it lies, like I say, it lies within ourselves. We have to sort of create our own preventative measures as well. And it's self-care, isn't it? Coming back to putting your own gas mask on first again. So,
Yeah. It's 100%. It's you first, which I think is really tough for men. Like as soon as you
yeah,
build a family, you become number two, number three, number four, number five really quick.
mm.
And it's that's just years of, I guess, conditioning to some extent.
That brings me to something else actually, where because the old school, the thing is what you see is the old school thing. You go back years to our fathers and grandfathers. The men went to work, women stayed at home, etc. It's always been a thing, and with equal rights and everything, it's fantastic. Our progression as a race, absolutely fantastic. But with a lot of men that are still in that sort of mindset and through learned behaviour, it's psychologically proven that it takes 5 generations before somebody becomes what's known as a cycle breaker. So we pass our own traumas on to our own children without even realizing it sometimes, thinking we know what's best for them, and we're passing our own traumas on. So these things still live there in men where we to be the breadwinner, and it causes some friction in some settings, don't it? It causes a lot of friction. So, and I think it's like I think most men must feel that if they're becoming redundant, so to speak, and it's expectations, isn't it? I don't think we should expect anything from anybody. I go out of my way now to manage other people's expectations of me because it adds to my mental health if I don't. I need to make people aware. I'll be there for people. I'll be there but I've got to protect my own mental health first. I'm dealing with something like on this level of trauma every single day. And this is the thing with suffering. With suffering, ours is always worse than everybody else's because it's us as an individual that's feeling it, isn't it? So and that's it's gonna be there, and it can be turned into something beautiful. It really can be turned into something beautiful. But with I think things are changing massively with men. I think with how we are evolving as a race, I think we are getting better with the men's side of mental health. I think it is getting better. You can see it throughout, can't you? You've got Andy's Man Club. I mean, I've not been for a while myself because of running the charity, but I'm still under the umbrella for one of the facilitators. I'd love to try and go back at some point, but I work still as well to create funds, funds for my own family to live and run the charity as co-founder and director and do all that voluntary. So I'd love to be able to get back. And you look at everything they're doing at the minute; it's absolutely fantastic. And the model that they've created is fantastic for men. Guys, look at it, look it up. So look Andy's Man Club if you don't know about it. I'm sure most do know about it by now. Walk through that door. Believe me, walk through that door because it works. It works. And it's a group of men all there and getting that crap off your chest, guys. You know what I mean? To see it as a reset button each week. So there is stuff out there. But I think one of the biggest things is we've got to want the help ourselves. You have to want the help. And it's taking that step forward into it. And it's not less manly to admit that to ourselves. It's one of the most bravest things to do. Believe me, it really is.
Yeah, it really is. I agree. I think men's mental health, men's support is being changed to facilitate men. I think even maybe 2, 3 years ago, it was still like, let's just paint the pink blue and that'll work for the men as well.
Yeah.
Whereas now there is this very much, it's a different approach, it's a different strategy, it's a different way of looking at it. And there's all of these things popping up that are, I guess, grassroots mental health, and they're trying to get people started. I watched an interview recently with, I think, one of the founders of Andy's Man Club. They said they've hired, or they've now got people there that they call sweepers, and
yes,
their job to go round the car park to see if there's anyone sat in their car. So, and they said that that's really helped and increased the number of people. So they're thinking like men, like how many people that sat in their car have come to this but aren't coming inside, and they've thought about that and they've created a solution, which is great to see and is really important. That sort of leads me on to another one of my sort of tough questions, which I think you might be able to answer quite nicely. What do you think is missing from the men's space, or what do you think there needs to be more of?
From what? Sorry, the men's one.
So sort of the men's space, so from mental health, from personal development,
Okay.
all that side of things. What's missing? What's needed more of?
Do you know what? I think, if I'm honest, I think one of the biggest things that's missing, and it's not directly from men, it's aimed at sort of everybody really. And you've got, have you heard of Andy, Tim, and Mike, the three dads walking?
Yes, yeah.
I think the angle they're coming in with the education system, let's start right at the beginning. Do you know what I mean? Let's start right at the beginning. What good are these little ticky box things for the KPTs, for the education system? What good is it to have all these qualifications as children if next week they're not here? Yeah, because of the stress that's on them for the exams and everything. Why don't we start looking at? Personally, I think school should be 50% well-being and 50% then worked on the curriculum sort of type stuff. So let's start right at the beginning and let's teach men as boys that it's okay to talk about their emotions and things and have group sort of settings about this within schools. And teachers have specialist type teachers coming in or things like that. Do you know what I mean? That's the biggest sort of one of the biggest preventative measures. Let's hit it right at the beginning. And maybe even like for parents, and you don't know what people's homes life like, do you? A lot of what we do is based on learned behaviour. A lot of what we do is based on learned behaviour and our own traumas. And I can go on and I'll openly talk about it. I wouldn't like to obviously upset my own father. And if I did something that I weren't happy with about myself, I'd blame my dad. And how many men do you know that probably do that? Do you know what I mean? As well, I blamed me if they didn't have a good relationship with the dad, or it was a very limited relationship. And I hold my hands up quite happily, and I blame my dad when I think about it. And it's look at it. He lost his dad. He was 2 years old. Lost his dad in Second World War. And I mean, what start is that to life? And life, we say children don't come with a rule book. Neither does life. Neither does life come with a rule book. We learn these things as we go along. So to challenge our own morals and ethic codes that we develop through life, it's like we think we're right. It's back to that again, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? To challenge that and want to find out who you truly are. And I think if your moral code goes against, I think if you acting on your moral code creates suffering for somebody else, then we need to seriously look at that, don't we? We need to seriously look at that. And it's so important. So I think a massive thing comes back to taking accountability for yourself, owning yourself, and not blaming other people. We tend to blame other things or other people for what's gone wrong in our lives. And I think when we learn that we take control of ourselves and don't blame other things for what's happened. One thing we are in control of, we can't control the future. Nothing is permanent. Yeah. However, we can control what we say and do right now. Okay, we can control that, can't we? Do you know what I mean? We do have something, and to think that what you're saying to somebody isn't going to have a negative impact or positive impact, and that's not me bubble wrapping things. Believe me, it's not. Do you know what I mean? It is something we all are responsible for our own actions. Nobody's responsible for what you say and do right now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a really interesting one. I heard a really nice quote, which I think you'll really enjoy. It's your parents' first time on the planet too, which sort of
yeah.
It's sort
exactly,
of
yeah.
You go, oh, okay, yeah, let them off.
That's good, that. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Did I tell you when we last spoke? Did I tell you about the orange quote as well? Squeezing the orange.
I'm not too sure, but I'm sure the listeners would love to hear it.
Yeah, but basically, I mean, we cannot get. It's a quote by Dr. Wayne Dyer. He's passed now, unfortunately. What a guy! Honestly, his mindset and everything, and just such a lovely person in general. And so he talks about you cannot give what you haven't got. So you take an orange and squeeze an orange, okay? You will never get apple juice, no matter how many times you squeeze it. You will always get orange juice. So if we're sort of all these problems that we have got, and we're starting to dislike ourselves, thinking the world could be a better place without us. It is rubbish when you pull all that out of yourself. It's rubbish. But if you're thinking that all the time and someone squeezes you, they're going to feel that suffering as well. That suffering spreads. You know what I mean? So that anger, we're angry with ourselves. We get angry with ourselves, which is normal human emotions, but it's being aware of them. It's learning to be aware of them. But if you start cultivating loving friendliness and developing that love for yourself, this is why it always starts with yourself. You start cultivating that loving friendliness, loving kindness, and you think that about yourself. So you give yourself the attention that you need. Do you know what I mean? Then someone squeezes you, all that's going to come out is love, isn't it? And we spread that. Do you know what I mean? We spread that, and it's okay as a man. That's not less like it's back to the man thing again, isn't it? It's not less manly. Do you know what I mean? I've worked in prison settings. I was first over the border in Iraq in 2003. I was hostage negotiations and in the prisons. So I've worked in all these male dominant sort of type roles. But I'm happy to sit here and cry. If I'm going to cry in front of a group of men, I'm not ashamed of it at all. That's my love for my son, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? And we've all got problems in some way. Everybody suffers in some way, and by realizing that, we can lessen the suffering.
Yeah, I like that. I think it's important for men to do these sort of things. I think this conversation that we're having right now is one, is privileged, but two, it's a conversation that needs to be had, and it needs to be had more and more and more around the world, and just sort of, this has been sort of like 40 minutes of just talking about raw emotion and what it means and what's sort of there, and it's rare that this conversation is happening, and yeah, more please is what I want from all this. So John, tell us a little bit about what's next for yourself and Walking for Hope. What's the plan in the future?
Okay, so a vision I've had for a long while is to create a safe space. So we're perfectly located in the Midlands to the UK. We're perfectly located. I would love to gain a plot of land and develop a plot of land for the charity, owned by the charity. So it's safeguarded. It's safeguarded because the amount of people who want to be able to support with this, it needs to be something that can stay. So somewhere people can go. Where we can create more options. I want to collaborate. I want to find more people out there who have learned to be happy with themselves and want to put back in. So, like myself, I've stopped asking the universe what it provides for, what I've stopped asking the universe for things. So, when is someone going to go right for me? Do you know what I mean? I've lost my son. I'm asking what I can do for the universe. So I want to find other people that have learned to develop this mindset and they see that bigger picture where we can collaborate, where we can work together, and we can provide more options. So with the plot of land, I want to look at bushcraft skills and classes and building outdoor huts and things using the natural environment. Uh, look at we can have a section where we can grow trees from lost loved ones' ashes and have a memorial section. And I think I'll look at sort of doing events throughout the entire year based on things to support more people, looking at different. Sometimes we need to categorize things like men, the big things on men's mental health massively in society, isn't it? I think we need to categorize that because sometimes in a relationship as well, it's not good to think we own each other. You need that male bonding. Do you know what I mean? It's got to be done, hasn't it? These sort of things, and it's you've got to look at these different sort of things that minimise the complexities to make things just simple. Just get out there and do stuff with nature. Get involved. So just imagine how much we could do with this land. That has been a big thing for me massively, and utilise it. It's not ours. It's owned by a charity, of course it is. So I'm looking at how the charity can outlive me, so this can continue, and this can be utilised. We can sort of share this with other places, with other charities and other organisations that people can collaborate with us. We can get together. I'd love to do something like with all the brave sort of parents in the UK can come together and get our ideas together. There's so many people out there doing things, and it's for me. It began about my son, right? So and for each bereaved parent, it's all about their child at start because it's their love for that child.
Yeah.
It's transcended past that for me now. It's transcended past that. It is our, excuse me, sorry. It is our children, but it's also about your children, everybody else's children. Do you know what I mean? And let's just get it together. So what we're all doing might not complement each other, but you'll do your own individual thing. And how can we pull this together now to work towards a national suicide prevention strategy? I think it's about, I haven't got around to going through it yet, because I'm that busy with the charity, but I've downloaded it recently. And I want to go through it with a fine tooth comb and see what that's all about. I think it's a 64-page PDF document by the World Health Organization. And I think to collaborate towards working together towards that. What the three dads are doing, we're getting it into the curriculum in a minute, and there's so much complexities. There's so much complexities when you got to go through the government with things. It's like, it's you know, you have to have a good. I can go on forever about these. I'm sounding like I'm tangenting now. This back to the charity, because I'm not going to get into politics. I don't, you know what I mean? It's just not my thing at all, at all. But yeah, that's a big starting point and something we're aiming for. At the moment, we've got the walks, we've got arts and craft groups, we've got our own peer support group on a weekly basis in Mansfield. But I'm only one person.
Yeah.
I've got fantastic volunteers coming on board, and these guys have got their own jobs and that as well. I'm only one person. So to find people out there that can probably support this and help us progress further to support more people. And do you know the beauty of it all is I'm not motivated by finances at all. It's a fantastic way to live. I hate the old rattling the pot thing and things like that. I do because I want to do. Do you know what I mean? I don't expect anything from anybody. And that has captured the heart of one of the biggest A-listed celebrities worldwide, Ryan Reynolds. And I can't wait to meet the guy who's going to promote our charity massively with what he's doing. I cannot be more thankful for what he's doing. And hopefully this could put us in a position to be able to support more people and put more things in place. That's the biggest thing. Putting more options in place, safe spaces as well for people to be able to attend. Overnight wild camping experiences. It's endless, isn't it? It's endless, and I'd like to sort of, 20, I won't say 24/7. I've got a family I need to spend time with. I'd like to run support groups on there, find other people that want to run support groups, be involved with it from the land. There's so much. Grow your own crops. There's so much. It's not like the walking's not for everybody, but we can find stuff based on research, based on talking to these people. Let's find what would help them. Like, oh, we could possibly do something for that. Here, we've got a slot there on this day, and let's see how it works. And try new things, be willing to change with it. Do you know what I mean? But create options for people. Yeah. So there's more. When you wake up and you've had that much, you've had enough constantly. It's like, do you know what? I've had enough. I get to work. Everyone's in a bad mood. Puts me in a bad mood. This happens. That happens. Because I'm sick to death of this. Today's the day. I'm going. Oh, look at all that. When you're putting it out there, I hate social media because it creates anxiety. But I'm trying to utilize it. It's a full-time job, and so I'm trying to utilize it to put more options out there to show people. Because one day some people might see that and think, I want to try that today. The more options that's there, the better. This is back to the preventative measures. So we want to create as many options and preventative measures as possible, basically.
Amazing. John, the passion is clearly there, and I'm excited to see what it turns into and where you go next. If people have liked what they heard, where is the best place, or how do they reach out to you?
Walking for Hope. I mean, if you Google Walking for Hope, then it's walk. It's with the number 4, so walking number 4 Hope as well. If you Google us at .org, it's so walkingforhope.org. You'll get to our website straight away, and all the details are on there. That's my personal phone number on there. I'm a bit of a glutton for punishment because it don't stop sometimes, but. Do you know what I mean? I can't always answer straight away, but I will get back to you. If you want more information, please reach out. There's a message system on there as well. Email us at walkingforhope@outlook.com as well. And follow us on social media. I've got a link I can send to you if you want, and that'll take everybody to everywhere that we've got. I can forward that on to you. If that's easier, you put that at the end or something.
Yeah, links will be in the description. John, thank you so much for your time. I've genuinely appreciated it. Thank you for sharing your story.
No problem. Thank you, Lewis, for having me. And I'll leave you with a nice quote that I do like as well. If you can't see the sunshine, be the sunshine.